I think there's still some seats here over on the right-hand side if you want to come and sit down. And well, welcome. I hope you're as excited as I am. My name's Galore, the queen of the cult movies, and here to introduce and do a Q&A with a legendary lady who probably doesn't need any introductions, but I will give her one because she's all very close to our hearts. Please welcome to the stage the one, the only Cassandra Peterson. This old thing, I'll give that to you. Make yourself at home, my love, and have a seat. And I think there's some very excited people out here.
Wow, I'm excited. You.
Well, welcome to Sheffield. Did you ever think that you'll be in Sheffield?
No, to tell you the truth.
I'm not sure I did really.
The home of Joe Cocker. That's all I know, right?
Oh, yes,
Joe
it is.
Cocker?
Yes, it is. Yes.
They're all like, who the hell is Joe Cocker?
Yeah.
Back in the day. All right.
So to start with, obviously known to the UK as the iconic character Elvira Mistress the Dark. There's obviously a lot more to your career as well. So just to give a little bit of background to people that probably don't know that, but I have a feeling people probably know most of your career in this room is giving you a start in Vegas. Tell us about the Vegas days.
Yes, I started in Vegas as a showgirl at the Dunes Hotel. So long ago that like none of you were born probably, and I was actually the youngest showgirl in Las Vegas history. At least that's what it says in the Guinness Book of World Records. I was 17. My parents had to sign off on me. I couldn't go through the casino. I couldn't gamble, drink, or do any of the fun stuff. But I could dance around on the stage in my skivvies, you know.
So it's okay to
Go
do that.
figure, isn't that bizarre?
Because it's 21 over there, isn't it?
Yes, and I was only 17, so there I was, dancing away on stage, not much more than a few feathers. And anyway, that's where I did get my start in show business. Before that, I had been a go-go girl since I was 14, so I started very, very young. I feel like I'm in my 100th year now of show business. I've been around so damn long. Huh. Anyway, that's it. Yeah.
But I love that story, and
I love that story.
I love that story, and
I've heard it so many times.
I know, but I don't know as many people would know about the night with Elvis.
Oh well, the night with Elvis. Oh, yeah. I'm going to write all the details about that in
obviously save the good bits for
my autobiography, so I can charge for it. But no, Elvis, I did meet him and I did spend an evening, and because it was Las Vegas, you kind of went out at 2 in the morning and ended up until 7, 8, 9, 10 in the morning. Spent that time with him, one-on-one. It was a long story. I just met Priscilla Presley last week, which I thought she was going to kick my ass, but she was very sweet, very, very nice to me. Oh my God, there's a bunch of Elviras out there.
They're looking amazing. I love the red outfit. Fabulous.
And anyway, Elvis did really save my life, I think, because I had, as a kid, just decided my goal in life was to be a showgirl in Las Vegas. And so I had achieved my goal at the age of 17, and I was ready to stay there. And Elvis said, "You've got to get the hell out of here. This is no place for a young girl. You shouldn't be here." He and I sang at the piano together, and he said, "You should get a voice coach and start practicing singing, and do something else. Get out of town, do something." And I took that to heart, and really, did go off in that direction. From that day on, I got singing lessons the next day, and so if it wasn't for Elvis, I would now be the oldest showgirl in Las Vegas. I would. That would be in the Guinness Book of World Records too. Nobody would want to see that.
But I love that story because people come into your life for special reasons, and that, of all people, just Elvis, just happened to be Elvis.
Oh, just Elvis. That whole thing.
To give you completely life-changing advice.
Yep.
Flash forward to 10 years, you're in LA at that point, and so the late 70s into 80, but when did you start with the Groundlings?
I started with the Groundlings in about, what year was it, 1980, 70, I think 77 or 78.
So a few years before the
Yeah, I was in there for about 4.5 years before I got this part. Yeah.
So yes, so it was there that the sort of the genesis of Elvira started with the Valley Girl character, but how were you asked to audition for the role, or did they approach you, or did you approach them?
I was on my honeymoon. Big mistake. Anyway, I was on my honeymoon, and when you're an actor in LA, it never fails that when you go out of town, that's when they call you. We've got this audition for you. You would be perfect. And it was a friend of mine, just a girlfriend of mine, who called up and said, I know this guy. They're doing this horror host character at a local TV station. He's seen you at the Groundlings, and you would be perfect for this part. And I said, I'm not coming back from my honeymoon. I'm just not. This is a one-time thing. And so a few weeks passed. I came back, and she called me up and said, he hasn't found anybody yet. You've got to get over there. I was like, okay, well, I'm in town. And I went over. Nobody told me that I was supposed to dress up like a horror host character. They just told me to go over there. And when I got in there, I was in a room full of women with black wigs and
at that point, the
vampire fangs and the whole 9 yards. I'm just sitting there like this, like a dork. And so they auditioned me anyway, and I think the fact that I was in the Groundlings is really what nailed it. And they had a really awful script that I kind of just improvised, because that was my forte. So instead of using the script, I kind of improvised, and I came out and they said, you got the job. And it wasn't like life-changing, because it was like, oh great, I got an acting job, I need money. It was $300 a week, so
which was probably nice
back then it was $3 million or $3 million. No, it was going to pay part of my rent. I still had to have another job as a temporary secretary during the day. Oh yeah, it wasn't enough to pay my rent, and my husband's rent, of course, never. Anyway. So anyway, I got the part. I started doing it on TV. Now, I really didn't think it was going to last. I mean, it was really weird. I started out standing under a street light, not on my sofa, but they had me standing under a street light. I mean, it was like, okay. So I really thought I don't know if this thing's going to go over. And,
well, at that point, the tradition of horror hosts in America, and because I'm trying to do that here, one viewer at a time, but up to 7, is, but we don't have that tradition over here. We never had it. So
it's like Halloween.
Yeah, well, Halloween now is huge, but in the last 5 years since I've been involved with all this, it's kind of grown and grown and grown and grown. I think the passion's always been here, but I suppose because the gothicness is always here, perhaps we didn't need to do it just on Halloween.
It probably came from England to begin with.
Yeah, exactly, but I don't think we needed to just do it at Halloween. With the costume, now tell me about the costume design, because originally you had a different idea for the Elvira look.
I did, and if any of you have seen, unfortunately, my book that just came out recently, which is a big photo book, kind of history of my character, it will be coming to the UK soon, so that you can buy it here without paying like $50 to have it shipped from the US.
And it's beautiful, it looks amazing, I can't wait to get my hands on it.
I'm really proud of it, it came out great. I'm very happy. It's kind of a photo, story of mine from the very beginning of Elvira until now. But are pictures in there of my best friend at the time, a guy named Robert Redding, drew pictures of we thought what the character should look like. He and I were both, they just said come up with a look that is spooky, So he has several pictures in there. My idea was to kind of go in like a Sharon Tate in the Fearless Vampire Killers direction.
Which I've always wanted to tell you this, is my favourite movie of all time. Which I only found out that you wanted to do that a few years ago, and I was like, I've been watching that since 1983, since the first VHS came out.
One of my favorites
and
ever.
It's called Dance of the Vampires over here, which is
really?
much more of a romantic title. They've changed it since the DVDs and Blu-rays and things have come out. They've gone back to the Fearless Vampire Killers, but Dance of the Vampires is always a lot more, I think, romantic. And there's a musical in Germany called Das the Vampire. So yes, that's got that title.
Wow, I love that.
But I love that look, because obviously you're a natural redhead, so that would make sense.
I was a redhead. I was going to use my natural hair and do it kind of a filmy, see-through, pink, torn up dress. And when we took it into the people that ran the station, they were like, no, you have to be all in black. I mean, we're like, okay, typical.
Because
but my friend put a nice spin on it, kind of an 80s,
Yes.
80s spin.
Yes.
And maybe a 60s
And the
spin
60s
with the
with
knowledge
the
bomb
Ronettes
there.
sort of type of
The
thing.
Ronettes was his favorite group. He worshipped Ronnie Spector, and he said, "I'm doing your hair." He calls it a knowledge bump. Everybody says beehive, but no, it's a knowledge bump.
Exactly.
My brains are in there. Unfortunately, I left them at home.
The show originally, I think if I got that right, was going to be a revival of the Vampire show, and then through rights and her not wanting to be part of it anymore, it had to stand alone, which I think in the long run obviously was the best thing to happen, because you then ended up with the control of the thing. But
Thank God, yeah.
thank goodness,
that thing turned out to be a very good thing.
what could have been the end of the show turned out to be helpful to it. But where did the name Elvira come from?
The name Elvira, we were going to call it Vampira, and then we found out quickly that there was someone, who owned the rights to that name. So really, I was ready to film the first show. We were in the studio, and they said, you can't use the name Elvira. So everybody that was in there, including the lighting man, the director, the sound guy, everyone wrote down what they thought the name should be, including myself. And I wrote Cassandra, because I thought that's kind of a witchy name. But oh my God, thank God, how confusing would that be now if I was Cassandra and Cassandra? I'd have to change my real name to like Sue or something. Anyway, so I picked out a name from a coffee can, and it was Elvira, and I went, oh my God, that sounds like a country western singer. I didn't really like the name, but that was it. They said, we're going with that.
But thank goodness that happened, because
Thank God.
I'm guessing they owned the rights to the show and Elvira to start with, and you slowly bought the rights for it, or?
They owned the whole thing, the television station, and every time that my contract would come up, and I can't remember how, it was maybe 6 months or so, they would say they wouldn't pay me any more money than $300 a week. And I was writing the show as well with my partner John Paragon, who was Jumpy the Genie from the Pee-wee's Playhouse, if you guys are familiar with that. And he and I were writing the show. So we were writing it and then buying the props and doing the makeup and doing the show, and sometimes even setting the lights and running the camera, because the crew would go next door for a drink, and we'd be left on our own. So we were doing all of that and only getting $300 a week, and they wouldn't raise my price, and it was the #1 show on that cheesy station. So we said, could we have the rights to have a fan club? And they said yes. And then we said, later down the road, could we have the rights to be on other television shows, make appearances? And they said yes. And that kept going along until we had all the rights. And thank God, because that station went under. They had made an illegal contribution to the Nixon campaign.
Ooh.
Yeah, smart move.
History repeats itself, doesn't
Just like the Trump campaign. And they went under, and I ended up with the rights to the character, or would have gone with the station into bankruptcy court. So it was all these very
meant to be, isn't it?
things. Yeah.
I think most of us probably discovered Elvira via the movie, because I might be wrong, Movie Macabre never aired here. I'm sure you came over and did appearances, but we discovered it through Elvira Mistress of the Dark. And as a young girl in a seaside town, I remember seeing that film, and I still remember turning back and just being completely bowled over by it. And I think it's one of those, they're identifying with the Elvira character of being the outsider, but being sassy and sexy and funny and not caring about anybody else's opinion resonates. And that's why I think it's so popular internationally. It's because it's the ultimate outsider, but not caring about anyone's opinions. And people just love it because of it.
If I want your opinion, I'll beat it out of you.
Yeah!
Yeah, no, that's my
Yes, a
favorite
round of
line. I use
applause,
that all the
please, for
time.
that.
Thank you. And I will too. Oh God. John Paragon actually came up with that line. I have to give him credit, but that's one of my favorite lines from the movie.
I love that line.
And maybe "How's your head?" Which RuPaul, I came up with that line. RuPaul has stolen that line now.
You know, you were mentioned in the show last night. I watched it this morning. I have jet lag. I've just come back from, we were talking about this earlier, I've just come back from Vegas, like yesterday morning, so I think I can see everybody here, just about. And I watched the episode this morning, and one of the girls, he goes like, you should do Elvira, you'd be amazing as Elvira.
Oh, good for him. We're good friends.
Yes.
We've been friends for a long time, even before he had his show. And obviously, it takes, he really loves that movie. I
Yes,
gotta tell you.
I do. I think
movie.
there's quite a few fans over
It's
here.
funny. So he just quotes those lines back to me all day long. It's kind of wacky that he's quoting them to me instead of the other way around.
I think I probably could as well. But it's amazing. I think because maybe it's the timing of it that I was lucky enough to see it at the cinema, and why I'm saying about I remember seeing it at the cinema, because I remember turning back and looking at it on the marquee as I left the cinema and going, there's something just really special about that. And I feel like I've just seen this, you know, you can see The Matrix. You can see those moments where you get inspired, and that was one of them. And I think it's been much bigger here on VHS, and then everyone's discovered it, and then they've discovered Movie Macabre, they've seen it on all the rest of it. And you get to travel everywhere with Elvira. Did you ever think, 30 years later, it would be like this?
No, I mean, I didn't think 2 weeks later it would be on. I really didn't. It was so incredibly cheesy, and the movie selection we got was so bad that I thought, this is just not going to happen. And wow, a few weeks into it, I got invited on what was then the talk show, Johnny Carson's Tonight Show, and it was like, what? You know,
that's a really huge deal.
Oh my God, it was a huge deal, and I sort of knew at that moment, wow, there's something happening here. This is, you know, this is actually a job, and it's going to be a job for a long time. And I didn't think it would be a job for this long. Every 10 years, I'd say, well. When I started when I was 30, but I did when I'm 40, I'm retiring.
Yes.
And when I'm 50, I'm retiring. When I'm 60, I'm retiring, you know.
But I think that's half the joy. I think it's a good thing you were not a teenager or in your 20s when you did it, because she was already a woman. It's, do you know what I mean? If you're trying to play a young girl past a certain age, that would be, ooh, that's just my pacemaker, don't worry. Then it would be, I think that's harder work. I think because Elvira is a woman, and okay, quick story. Halloween last year, my friend didn't know what to go to as Halloween. I was doing an appearance in Edinburgh, and she didn't want to go. I went, Elvira, and she put the dress on and the black bit. And she is a curvy girl. She is all curves. She's never felt as sexy and as beautiful in that dress. And I know it's the #1 selling costume of all time for Halloween, but it's true. And literally, you could see the difference in her.